Hello, welcome to this presentation. Today I'm going to briefly discuss some sources I found on the Project Muse that address the different ways that the United States has developed policies and strategies when engaging with insurgency, guerrilla warfare, and resistance. The first source is an article by Lorian Foote entitled Civilization and Savagery in the American Civil War. Foote's discussion on the use of guerrilla warfare by Southerners and the Union response serves as one of many examples of the evolution of policy and strategy during the war. Confederate guerrilla attacks were so effective that it created a major tactical problem for the Union Army in the South. Union military commanders responded by adopting a hard war policy of retaliation. Foote's use of both Union and Confederate primary and secondary sources reveal that this policy deteriorated to a punitive war strategy that often included killing civilians and livestock, burning crops and property, and destroying railroads and other infrastructure. Foote noted that retaliatory policies on both sides set off a back-and-forth ritual of savage acts throughout the course of the war. He argued that different understandings of war and characterizations of the enemy informed the movements from civilized warfare to justified acts of savagery on both sides. In the next source, a book called The Foundation of the CIA, author Richard Schroeder examined the intelligence gaps in American national security policy prior to World War II. In Chapter 3, Schroeder used government sources to highlight how the Office of Strategic Services, or the OSS, predecessor to the CIA, became an active component of American intelligence policy and strategy during World War II. The OSS became America's premier capability to recruit and manage foreign spies and to infiltrate occupied enemy territory and conduct sabotage and other guerrilla operations with local resistance forces. Schroeder pointed out that the OSS organization and functions survived the war and made up the basis for the modern CIA. The CIA and later the Army Special Forces functioned as the lead intelligence and military components of America's policy for supporting insurgent and resistance guerrilla forces. The final source is an article by Celeste Wallander called Western Policy and the Demise of the Soviet Union. Wallander argued that Western policies, primarily American policy under the Reagan Doctrine, policies in aiding anti-Marxist opposition forces in third world conflicts, especially in Afghanistan, served as a major contributing factor in the collapse of the Soviet Union. American intelligence, military, and economic support to the Afghan resistance helped keep the war in a quagmire and strained Moscow's economic ability to sustain military operations. Wallander concluded that these costs played a role in the Soviet Union's decision to withdraw from Afghanistan in 1989. So that was a brief discussion on American policies and strategies when engaging with guerrilla warfare and insurgency and resistance.